May the 6th. Roll call, please.
Corey Coons.
Here.
Chad Kiger.
Here.
Bruce Polly.
Here.
Ron Edwards.
Here.
Lloyd Gross.
Here.
Got a full house. Everybody's here tonight. Has everybody seen the minutes from last month? And I would look for a motion if there's no problems.
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes from last month's meeting.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved from last month. We have one lonely item tonight. Docket 24-18, Stephen Keller. The property is located at 1112 North Meridian Street, Lebanon. Property is owned in the residential district and comprised of approximately 2/10 of an acre. The subject configuration is 75 feet by 120 feet. Ben?
Evening, board members. I'll give you a quick overview of this application and walk through some of the elements in the staff report and then give you the recommendation. So if they want to pull the screen up, I'll go ahead and highlight the property here. I will first point out the property line as it's shown here going through the neighbor's house is not in the correct location. As you know that these images are taken from way up high on an airplane and sometimes the property lines don't match up. But I'll show you here in a second how the site plan lays this out. So on this site here, you have the home, and then there is a detached garage that kind of sits in the northwest corner of it here. This is a property that's sandwiched between two public streets and an alley. So it is relatively restricted. As you can see, the existing garage sits very close to that northwest property line already. Basically on the site plan, you can see here, it's just a little over 2 feet, about 2.5 feet from that property line where that existing garage sits. What the applicant is proposing to do is tear down this existing garage. By tearing down the garage, it loses its grandfathered status or its legal existing nonconforming status, which would mean that in constructing something new, it would be required to meet the setback requirements of the ordinance. What the applicant is proposing to do is essentially it's going to be a larger garage, but the extents of the garage at this northwest corner are essentially exactly the same as this existing garage. The garage will actually be growing to the east and will actually connect to the house in this area here where there's a void between the garage and the house now. And that's what I'll show you here on the site plan. So our infill standards in the ordinance have been modified and expanded so that it allows us to consider side and rear setbacks as part of the standards. But this is one where there's not a whole lot of existing homes, as you can see along this stretch of road, to really use to develop those infill standard setbacks. So this is one where we really felt it was helpful and important to take this to the board to approve. But what you'll see here on the existing site plan, I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see a little better on his drawing. So what you see drawn here in the pencil is the existing garage. This additional red line that you see here would be the extents of the new garage. So again, as I mentioned before, this northwest corner is staying essentially in the same spot that is now. So the garage is essentially growing to the east here. But again, as I mentioned before, because the garage is being torn down, it loses that legally existing nonconforming status and thus is required to come for the variance. But essentially the impact on the surrounding neighbors is exactly the same with this new garage as it is from the existing garage because it sits very similar. So it's just less than 2 feet from the north property line and about 2.5 feet from the right of way for Euland Drive. And it's really staying very similar. We did talk about whether there are other options for placing the garage on this property, and actually his utilities, et cetera, come to the house from along the back side. So if he was going to try to relocate the garage somewhere else on the property, it would require moving the utilities. So because this expanded garage doesn't encroach on the property lines anymore in the existing one, we felt like that was appropriate, and it does help keep him from having to relocate utilities. So with that then, for any variance requests, there are 3 findings of fact that must be considered in order to consider approval of a variance. The first is the approval will not be injurious to public health. And we've determined that this will not have any threat to public health, safety, morals. While the structure will be slightly closer to the side property line, the request is consistent with how the other lots in the neighborhood have been developed. The second is the use and value of the area adjacent will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, and the requested variance is compatible with existing development and will have no substantial impact on the neighboring properties. The third one, the strict application in terms of UDO result in practical difficulties. In this case, we have both restricted lot sizes, and this one is affected by the fact that Uland Drive comes and cuts off that northwest corner of the property as well. So with the restricted lot size and Uland Drive having, if this was more of a rectangular property, wouldn't have as much of an issue. But because of that, there are some restrictions to being able to do what he's proposing to do. So there is a practical difficulty in the use of the property. So with that, then staff has recommended approval of the development standards variance request to permit the construction of an attached garage that is approximately 2 feet from the side property line and 2 feet 9 inches from the rear property line. That'd be happy to answer any questions.
If you could go back to the first drawing, please. Yes.
This drawing? Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying the garage is going to be roughly 65, 66 feet long?
Yeah, he's has no other storage on the property, so he needs space for a 2-car garage plus additional storage. And that's what he's essentially getting by doing this, because he had about a 20 by, I think it's about 20 by 28 before. And so he needs more space to move some of his other things inside. I don't think you can see it in this aerial photo. He showed me some other aerial photos that you can see his vehicles and stuff that were parked outside. He's just trying to get some of those additional items inside.
And that's all garage, not garage and not living space, though.
I don't
basically.
believe, I think this would be all garage on the first floor. I believe I saw something in one of his notes that he was talking about perhaps doing a second story above that. But that entire first floor, my understanding, is all garage.
All I got.
And out of curiosity, do you know how old that existing structure is?
I
When it
don't
was
off the
built?
top of my head. It is an older home.
Yeah, okay.
Early
Obviously
60s,
way
I
before
think.
our UDO, right? Yeah.
Correct. Significantly before current
Yeah,
UDO.
okay.
So the northern boundary is not moving, right? From a footprint perspective. it is
I think it's
staying-
getting a few inches closer than the existing garage, but it's essentially the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's proposing 1 foot 10 inches, and I think it's right around 2 feet right now. So it's getting a couple inches closer.
Okay.
I think he was trying to get an access door on the back of here in addition to the garage door.
Okay. And then I believe I was contacted by some neighbors in that area. But was there an agreement sought with neighbors as far as the size and location?
Talking about the neighbor to the north.
Yes.
This is the neighbor to the north. So he's actually here representing the applicant because he's out of town. So there's not necessarily anything in writing, but they have discussed the project.
Okay.
Anybody else? Thanks. So do you want to step forward and speak anything for the applicant then, or?
No, it's just gonna be a nice improvement from the neighborhood.
Need to come to the microphone, please.
I figured since there were people in here, I didn't have to come up, but thank you. No,
That little red button, they can hear you now.
okay. No, it's gonna be a nice improvement to the neighborhood. It's an old garage. It definitely is gonna look a lot nicer when he is done basically building it and attaching it to the house. It's gonna be really nice.
Okay, I just need one more thing from you, unless there's no other questions.
I wanted just to make sure that the garage exterior materials are going to match the home and,
Yes.
okay.
Kelly needs your name and address.
David Keaton, Keaton, and my address is 1110 North Meridian Street.
That end of the table have anything to say?
Looked at it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, here again, it is a public meeting, so anybody else from the audience care to step forward? We'll close the public end of the meeting and look for a motion.
Make a motion to approve docket 24-18 18 as written.
Second.
Can I just ask a quick question before we?
Absolutely.
So the subject property is what address?
1112,
12.
the second house.
So the property just north of there would be 1204 North Meridian, correct?
North of there, yeah, I don't have the address on here. Do you know what the address just north is? You can tell me and I can tell them. Okay, yeah, it is 1204.
Okay. I get that's where my question comes in is I thought there was an agreement that was made between all the parties in that area to ensure, number one, that the footprint did not move closer to the property line. And number two, there was an agreement on length beyond the current structure on 1204 so as not to block natural light coming into 1204. Is that,
I haven't been made aware of any agreements between the two properties.
do you know? Okay. I'm just curious. I just want to make sure,
You need,
yeah,
you need to come back up to
to my knowledge, I believe I was told that there was an agreement that the new structure could only exceed the garage on 1204 by 12 inches, which by the pictures I took, I mean, it's going to be close. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And then the second piece, you mentioned a second story. I'm not positive that a second story would be allowable. Is that? The UDO would allow it, even though the accessory structure would be more than 10% of the square footage? Has that been removed?
If it's attached to the house, it's no longer an accessory structure. It's part of the primary structure.
Okay. I believe there was an agreement placed on that as well.
Go ahead, speak in the mic.
There was a verbal agreement between myself and the people to the north. The garage is actually not going to move closer. I measured from the pen to the corner of the garage, and that's where I don't want to go north edge. I just want to go straight back.
Right.
this isn't working very well.
He's basically going to go straight back from where he's at. I've seen the
Right.
property.
So north is check mark. We're good to go
Exactly.
there. That's no
It's not going
problem.
north. It's going to go.
And
be
then
going-
secondarily, there was a conversation about how far back into the property a structure would stretch and the height, because it would impede the natural light coming into 1204. So,
I don't know how that would work because the house is already, the roof that's on there is extremely high right now anyway, and it's not going any higher than that. So I don't know how it would impede.
well, but if there's
1204.
a second story, it would be going higher than that.
It would go into the same roof line that's there now.
So it's going to go to the same roof line that's on the garage.
I understand, from what I understand, because he's going to tear the one roof off the house. He's redoing everything. It's going to be very nice.
Okay.
And the house that we're talking about, 1204 North, that's been improved, was his old house.
Right.
I
Yep.
mean, and he did a hell of a job, excuse my French, but he did.
Yep.
And so I'll be honest with you, that's the thing. He doesn't spare any cost. He does it the right way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not concerned
Yeah.
about that part.
But there's nobody here to argue the point either. I think it's a moot point.
Just to confirm, so we are approving the variance of what? Sorry, I'm not trying to be difficult tonight.
So this is a variance that would allow the attached garage 2 feet from the side property line, 2 feet 9 inches from the rear property line.
So the setback is the variance that we are
Yeah,
approving?
it'd be side and rear setback.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Kelly?
Corey Coots,
No.
Chad Kiger,
Yes.
Bruce Polly,
Yes.
Ron Edwards,
Yes.
Lori Gross. Yes.
Motion passed. Congratulations. One item is all we had tonight. So next board meeting would be June the 3rd, Monday, June the 3rd, 7 PM. Look for a motion to,
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.